Hello everyone. So in the last lecture we have seen the Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction. Okay, so there were the two laws, and in both the laws the EMF induced means in that law we told how the EMF is induced, right? So now there is a one Lenz law which says what is the direction of an induced EMF. Okay, so let's see what's Lenz law saying. It states that the direction of induced EMF is such that it always opposes the main cause of its production. Okay, now it is a little bit difficult for understanding this by reading this statement, but it's a small statement. You can write this in the exam. So let me explain you what do you mean. What does it mean? Okay, so what is the main cause of its production? Right? What is the main cause? So let's again go through the Faraday's law. Okay, I have highlighted one word, change, right? Whenever there is a change in the magnetic flux, EMF is induced, right? So the main cause of the production of its production, that is of the production of the EMF, is nothing but a change. So that in the direction in which the flux is changing, right? The direction in which the flux is changing, the induced EMF is always opposite to that direction. Okay, the main cause is nothing but the changing of the flux. So the direction in which the flux is changing, the induced EMF is opposite to that direction. Okay, so once again I am reading it for you. Now I hope you will understand it. It states that the direction of induced EMF is such that it always opposes the main cause of its production. Okay, so formula is E is equal to minus n d phi by dt, right? What do you mean by d phi by dt? A rate of change of flux with respect to time. Okay, so you know that the derivative of a constant value is 0, right? Now if the flux is constant, what will become it? It will become a 0. That is, n into 0 is nothing but E will become 0, right? That is why flux should always be changed. Okay, so here from this expression we can say that if the flux is constant, induced EMF will become a 0, right? So E is equal to minus d phi by dt, and what is n here? The number of windings, the number of turns of winding is nothing but n, and the negative sign shows that induced EMF is always opposite to the direction of in which the flux is flowing, right? Next, again, one very important rule which gives the direction of the induced EMF. So it is a Fleming's right hand rule. So let us see what you mean by Fleming's right hand rule. Suppose if the first three fingers of the right hand, that is thumb, then the index finger is nothing but the first finger. Okay, after the thumb, the finger which comes is the index finger, and the next one is middle finger. Okay, so if the first three fingers of the right hand are mutually perpendicular to each other, what do you mean by mutually perpendicular? That all the three fingers must be perpendicular to each other. Okay, all the three fingers. So you can see the diagram below. It's given that. Okay, it is given the action how you have to stretch your finger. So if the thumb indicates the direction of motion of conductor, okay, and the first finger is pointed in the direction of magnetic field, right? Magnetic field means in the direction of magnetic flux. Then the second finger will indicate the direction of induced current or induced EMF. Okay, thumb indicates the direction of motion. First finger indicates the direction of magnetic field or magnetic flux. Then the second finger will indicate the direction of current. It is very simple. Just remember, if you remember this diagram also, then also you can write it your own, right? In the diagram it is given that for the thumb it is given the motion, first finger is given the field, that is magnetic field, then second finger is the direction of current. Okay, so this is a Fleming right hand rule. I hope you understand what is the Fleming's right hand rule. Okay, now next let us see what are the types of induced EMF. So we have seen that how the direction of the induced EMF is given, right? Now let us see what are the types of the induced EMF. Okay, so basically there are two types: statically induced EMF and dynamically induced EMF. Static means standing, means not moving, right? And dynamic means it's moving. Something, there is something which is moved in the dynamic. Okay. So statically induced EMF is again two type. Is again classified into two types: self-induced EMF and mutually induced EMF. So let us go one by one and understand what is the all this induced EMF. So first one is dynamically induced EMF. Okay. So you can see the diagram in the dynamically induced EMF. Okay. So there is a two magnets. Okay. Current flux is always flow from north pole to south pole, and that flux is cut by one conductor. So you can see here we can use the Fleming's right hand rule to denote the direction of induced EMF, right? So the thumb indicates the direction of motion of conductor, and the first finger is indicating the direction of flow of flux, that is from north pole to south pole. You can see in the diagram. In that way, the second finger will indicate the direction of flow of current, right? Means that conductor, the current is flowing from the conductor, that is from top to bottom, right? You can, by according to Fleming right hand rule. Okay. So let's come to the topic. Okay. So what is dynamically induced EMF? Dynamically induced EMF induces in a conductor when the conductor moves across the magnetic field. Okay. So here you can see that we are applying the Faraday's first law, right? That conductor is cutting the flux, and according to the Faraday's law, what he was saying, if the conductor cuts the magnetic flux, EMF is induced in the conductor, right? See here. See that point, second point. Whenever a conductor cuts a magnetic flux, and EMF is induced in that conductor. This was given by the Faraday's. Okay. So here we are, right? So from this diagram you can clearly say that in that conductor EMF is induced. Now let us see how its EMF is inducing. Okay. So this is the one handmade diagram, just for your better understanding, and you can draw this diagram if you want. If you want, this diagram is compulsory, right? This is a very important question. They can ask you for 4 marks. Explain dynamically induced EMF. So you have to draw the diagram and you have to explain it. Okay. So maybe generally the diagram will be for 2 marks and that explanation will be for 2 marks. Okay. So let us see. Consider a conductor of length L placed in the magnetic field of the flux density B. Okay, so that conductor, you can see that there's a one iron, there's a one rod, right? That rod is nothing but a conductor, and the length of that conductor is L. Okay, now when it is placed in a magnetic flux density B, and the angle between the conductor and the magnetic flux is nothing but a theta. Okay. So let theta be the angle between the plane of the flux and the direction of the conductor moving, and v is the velocity at which the conductor cuts the flux. So these are the few parameters which we have to remember. So expression of the magnitude of dynamically induced EMF is given by E is equal to BLV sin theta. This formula you have to remember, it is very important formula. Okay, E is equal to B, that is flux density, L, that is length of the conductor, V, velocity at which the conductor cutting the magnetic flux, and the theta, the angle between the conductor and the plane of the flux. Okay. So from this formula there are two cases. Case 1, that what is the case 1? When the plane of the motion of conductor is parallel to the plane of the flux, that is the flux is parallel to the magnetic flux, right? Now if two things are parallel, the angle between them is 0, right? So what the formula will become? In the place of theta we can write 0. So E is equal to BLV sin 0, and we know that sin 0 is nothing but 0. So BLV into 0, everything will become 0. So the induced EMF is 0. So we can say that it is a minimum induced EMF. When the EMF will be minimum, when the conductor is parallel to the plane of the flux. Okay. So this is a case 1. Case 2. When the conductor is perpendicular to the plane of the flux, right? So it is not coming in the frame. You can write on your own. Right? It's a very simple thing. E is equal to BLV sin 90. Sin 90 is nothing but 1. So E is equal to B into L into V, which is maximum. Okay. So we can draw the two conclusions that when the conductor is parallel, EMF induced is minimum, that is 0, and when the conductor is perpendicular, the EMF induced is maximum, that is BLV, right? And the logic says that if you want to cut the maximum flux, you have to keep the straight, right, conductor, right? If the conductor will be the straight, it will cover the maximum part, right? So these are dynamically induced EMF. So this is a very important question. So you have you study it carefully, and if you have any doubt, we will solve in this live session. Okay. Now let us go to the next topic, that is statically induced EMF. Okay. So we have seen earlier that statically induced EMF are basically of two types, that is self-induced EMF and mutually induced EMF. Now let us go through the self-induced EMF. Okay, so you have seen this diagram earlier also. This is a diagram for the self-induced EMF. Here you can see there is one conductor, and above and around that conductor copper wire is founded, and from between the two ends of the wire we have given the supply, right, battery, and we had given the resistance R, which is a variable resistance, right? Now what happens to the battery? Battery gives the DC supply, that is a constant voltage. If the voltage is constant, the current will be constant, and if the current will be constant, the flux will also be constant, right? And if the flux is constant, do you think that EMF will induce? Right? It will not induce. Why? Because Faraday say that if whenever the flux change, then only the EMF induce. But here the flux is not changing, because flux depends on the current, and current is constant because voltage is constant, right? So here we introducing the variable resistance, right? You can see that there is a resistance, and that resistance we have drawn one arrow, right? So what happened? Arrow means nothing but it is a variable resistance, right? So what is the resistance? It opposes the flow of current. So when you will change the resistance, current will also change, right? Because it opposes the current, right? So if resistance is low, current will be high. If the resistance is high, current will be low, right? So when you change the resistance, current will also change, and if the current will be changed, flux will get changed, and if the flux will get changed, then according to Faraday's first law, EMF will induced in that conductor itself, right? So the EMF induced is nothing but a self-induced EMF, right? Because it is inducing the EMF itself in the conductor, right? So let us go through the points, you will clearly understand. EMF that produced in the coil due to the change of its own flux, right? It's producing the flux, but that flux is changing. So according to Faraday's law, EMF is inducing in it. So EMF that produced in the coil due to the change of its own flux link with it, right? So if the current of the coil is changed, then the flux link with its own turns will also change, which will produce an EMF, and that EMF is known as self-induced EMF. Okay, so this is the first step, self-induced EMF. Now let us go for the mutually induced EMF. Okay, so this is the mutually induced EMF. Now this is a handmade diagram for your better understanding, right? So here there is a two coil, right? There is a two electromagnet. Now we can say that coil is a more common word, right? Instead of electromagnet, we can use the word coil. So coil is nothing but a wire. If a copper wire is wounded on the conductor, it becomes a coil. Okay, so there is a two coil C1 and coil C2. C1 is on the left hand side and coil C2 is on the right hand side. Okay, so you can see that on in the circuit of the coil C1 there is a one supply, one switch which is denoted by S, and there is a one variable resistance RS, right? But on the coil C2 there is no supply, there is a no resistance, only there is a one circle. In that circle there is an arrow. You can, while you make your own notes, you can write G there. Okay, so G is nothing but a galvanometer. What is the function of galvanometer? It detects the current, right? It senses the current. If there is some current will flowing, it will deflect. Okay, so now the most important thing is that only the supply is given to the coil C1. Coil C2 have no supply, right? So let us see what happens, why it is known as mutually induced EMF. Let us see. Okay, in the coil C1 we have given the supply, right? Just like self-induced EMF, here we have given the supply. What will happen when the supply is given? Current will flow, flux will flow, but that flux is a constant, right? Because the supply is a DC supply, there is a battery. Okay, there is not an alternating current, this is a DC supply, but we have given the variable resistance. You can see RS, right? There is a variable resistance. So what will happen when the resistance is changed, the current will also get changed, and when the current will change, the flux will change. And if the flux will change, you can see that the changing flux is also linking to the coil C2, because coil C2 is placed very nearby, very closely to the coil C1, right? So what will happen, that flux will also link to the coil C2, right? And the flux which is linking in the coil C2, it is a changing flux or constant flux? It is a changing flux, right? So according to Faraday's law, if the flux link with the coil C2 changing, EMF will get induced in the coil C2, right? And that EMF is known as mutually induced EMF, right? Why it is a mutually induced EMF? Because it is not producing on its own. It is getting that flux by the other coil, that is coil C1. Okay, so let us go through the points one by one. Coil C1 consists of N1 turns, right, winding off, and coil C2 consists of N2 turns. A switch S is connected to the battery and a variable resistance R are connected in a circuit consist of a coil C1, that is on the coil which is drawn on the left hand side. Galvanometer G is connected to the coil C2 to sense the current through the coil C2. Okay, so only the galvanometer is connected to the coil C2 and nothing else is connected in the coil C2. Now let us see what happens. Since the R can be changed, the current I will also be changed, which result into the change in the flux. Okay, as a part of this flux complete its path to the coil C2, and this flux is known as mutual flux. Okay, you can see this, some flux from coil C1 is linking to the coil C2, right? So the flux which is going to the coil C2 and completing its path is known as mutual flux. Means the flux which is shared by the coil C2 is known as a mutual flux. The mutual flux will also be changed, and hence according to Faraday's first law, there will be an induced EMF in the coil C2. This induced EMF is known as mutually induced EMF. Okay, so this, due to this EMF, the current flowing in the coil C2 is sensed by the galvanometer. Okay, what is the function of the galvanometer? When the current will flow, it will get deflected. So this is nothing but a mutually induced EMF. Why it is known as a mutually induced EMF? Because the coil C2 is getting EMF is induced in the coil C2 because of the coil C1. Okay, so this is nothing but a mutually induced EMF. I hope all your doubts are clear, but still if you have some doubt, we will solve it in the live session. Okay, thank you. With this our chapter is completed. Thank you very much.